Really? I was so
I was waiting for you to go on the computer. That's why I had to run and find my phone.
I was so nervous because I was like telling people like I don't know if he got me when I said it was an Instagram live. So I'm so
No,
nervous.
I didn't. I thought it was a Zoom. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I know this time now like let's go on Meet, let's go on Zoom, let's go on this, let's go on that.
Sure.
How are you?
Well, I just did a Zoom class, jump class with 26 kids from a province in Canada called Manitoba.
Yeah, I know Manitoba.
So I'm a little tired. I actually jumped.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I got into shape from the whole pandemic. That was good for me. I lost 17 pounds, so I'm feeling very fit.
Hey, so I thought you guys had ice already. Oh, well, this was
we
Manitoba.
do. We do.
Okay, well that's awesome. Do you have ice all day or just like certain
No,
sessions?
we have to share it with hockey for skills because they obviously can't play hockey, but we only have one pad out of 3. So we have to share with hockey. And then, of course, they do a session and a half-hour clean and a session. And next week, they're going to make it only 15-minute clean because they realize they don't clean. They don't need and then, yeah. So anyway, and then we're supposed
like wear stuff. You guys.
We have to wear a mask. The kids don't have to. They have to wear it till they get on the ice. And when on the ice, the kids don't have to wear a mask, but we do.
Okay.
But it's terrible because the mask gets all wet because it's hot air and it's cold. The hot and the cold air meet. So I need one of those fancy ones with a vent.
The ones you can open up and have a beer.
Yeah, that would be great.
Those are funny.
That would be great.
So I was telling everybody when we're trying to figure out how to go online that you are a master rated coach with PSA for figures and moves and freestyle, right?
Yeah.
And also that you have the Canadian
Level 5.
Level 5, which is the national coaching certification.
Yeah, so I'm the only coach in North America that's got Level 5 in Canada and the PSA Master Rating. PSA Master Rating.
How do you get Level 5?
It took years because in Canada the courses are really in depth and they've changed a little bit now, but at the end of the day, it probably took 10 years to get up to Level 5 because Level 4 and 5 is all these tasks and it's like a university course. You go for 3 days and you can do stuff from altitude training to psychology for the athlete, psychology for the skater, the benefits of all of planning and periodization. Then you have to do, obviously schedules for your athletes.
Awesome.
You have to meet sports officials, ask people like, what interview famous athletes to what they did to make themselves a champion. It's like there's 20 tasks. It's pretty vast subjects, like quite a lot of variety. At the same time, it's really good.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's tough because you got to know the biomechanics, physiology, the psychology, and then you got to know all the other medical factors on training, how to train each energy system. So it's pretty exciting, but it makes you a better coach.
Well, not only that, I mean, I think it makes the whole coaches more respectable. And I think that's what we're trying to do with this group of people in this club. And we're trying to involve everybody and maybe get some sort of certifications in the future so we can get, better in Mexico. So I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to share my ideas and concepts and teaching philosophy. So fire away. Start asking me questions.
Well, first, I wanted just to people to know you a little, and I just wanted to know when you started coaching and what you like about it.
Okay, well, I was really lucky because I was a pretty decent skater. I was a 4-time national competitor, highest 3rd in the country, and then my coaches were Louis Stong and Mary Jane Stong, and Louis Stong, of course, coached Paul Martini and Barb Underhill to the world title in 1984 in pairs. Then they also coached Kurt Browning to a world title in 1993, and then he also coached Jose Chouinard, Karen Preston, Charlene Wong, lots of people, like lots of other Canadian champions and world competitors.
That's
So,
awesome.
so I was with him, and so then, and I was also, Lewis made us, when in Canada, when you're 16, you could be a judge. So he made lots of his kids judge, so we would learn to appreciate judges more. And I really got into it. And at the time, I was pegged, or like Skate Canada picked me as a future Olympic judge. So I was the first judge at 19 years of age. I was already promoted to a national level judge, and I was judging all the gold tests. Like, and in Canada, it was a huge deal. So, however, when I finished skating at 22, I didn't join an ice show because at the time was Mr. Stong. He wanted me to coach with him, and so I coached right away. And there I was coaching. He had the Canadian champion Kay Thompson, who ended up being 5th in the world in 1984, and so right away I was coaching elite skaters from the very beginning of my career. And
Who
then,
did you coach?
pardon me?
Who did you have? I know a little bit, but I know people don't know who you had the opportunity to coach.
Well, actually, most of the skaters you wouldn't know because they were like, you know, they're Canadians and they're not like they weren't that famous. But I probably had, you know, between novice and junior and senior Canadian champions, I probably had about 15, and I had American junior men's champion and novice men's champion, and novice men's 4th, and other kids like that were, you know, national competitors. But my greatest success obviously was in Canada, and that kind of like got my whole kind of career going because I had success right away because I kind of got into coaching because I kind of had an appreciation for movement and being able to analyze it, because I was always the kind of skater, like when people would ask me, Doug, let me look at my double axel. What do you think? And I would tell them what I think they had to do. So I was kind of known as a real good helper in the rink. So that kind of gave it to me. And then I went to Seneca College in Toronto. They had a skating course. So you could take like biomechanics and physiology, and you could do it every day in the classroom so that you really learned it. You just didn't like go to a 3-day seminar, try and cram it in your brain and forget about it. I studied it, and then and I wanted to be good. So I just didn't take the course to pass. I took the course to learn. And that was the big thing. And then I went and did the American certification because I had a skater from Atlanta, Colin Vanderveen, that was a Saint Gervais Oberstdorf winner. As he was as high as 5th in the U.S. He was 2nd in junior men in the U.S. And I thought when I'm in America, I should try and take the American certification. So I took their certification too. And then I didn't ever think that I would ever leave Toronto, the cricket club in Toronto, but I did back in 2000, and I went to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and
Ice Cube.
Pardon?
The Ice Cube.
The Ice Cube, right? And it's a great facility, and I ended up I was the skating director there. And between the dance and competitive skaters, we had a dance team. Evan Bates and Emily Samuelson made it to the Olympics in 2010. And I had Elliot Halverson and Erica Archambault, who was a junior lady champion. I had them on the international circuit, junior Grand Prix. So we were doing really well. But then I got a call back to go to Toronto to go to the Granite Club, and then I left all that and went to the Granite Club. So anyway, it was I've had a great career. It'll be 40 years this July. And,
wow.
I love coaching. I love skating. As you know, I come to your rink. I love your skaters. I love you guys, you and your sister Michelle, some people, I think it was that they have a job, and it's like they have a job to earn money. Well, my job is I can't believe I get paid for it because I love it so much.
I understand that part. What other rinks in Mexico have you visited aside from Monterrey?
In Leon. I've been there like I think 4 times, 3 or 4 times, and then I went to Merida,
Oh,
to
that's true.
the shopping center there. Yeah.
Cool. What else was I going to ask? So I've noticed, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about, that you always go back to basics, and I love that. So, like, I remember when you first came here. So the idea is to talk about moves and how it just relates to everything, because many people think moves in the field are over there and jumps are here, and everything it's just
Right.
together.
Well,
So yeah.
Well, because I'm old enough that I did compulsory school figures, and I taught skaters to the world and Olympic level to do school figures. So I knew the value of school figures. And then I also did dancing to the senior level too. So I knew all about Choctaws and Twizzles. And so to me, when the Americans came to putting moves in the field together, because I had a good background in teaching in both dance and in figures, and then to try and make these more free skating like. So when the international judging system came in the United States in 2004, the moves test that we had did not have like twizzles, they didn't have loops, they didn't have toe steps, they didn't have Choctaws. So we had to make all these moves up to incorporate all the turns, but do them in a more free skating like environment. So you wouldn't have to go as slow as school figures, but at the same time you would get the action of a rocker, but be able to put it in a free skating program or a dance program or a synchro program as now, because synchro skating has, you have to skate now. Before, if you couldn't skate, you went in synchro. Now you have to be a really good skater to be a synchro skater now, because you've got all the required difficult turns, and you have to have the skating ability. So for me, I had a really big and I was back in the United States then, and I really wanted to make skating better, and I really wanted to help. So that's why we have the moves. They go both directions, counterclockwise and clockwise, and both feet. So that you cover everything. So when you get your senior moves test, you've mastered every turn. You might not do every turn perfectly, but you get an overall concept.
Okay.
And so for me, what it does in turn, like to me, if people work more on their moves, especially at the beginning, and instead of trying to learn jumps, they would have better jumps and spins, because moves give you the coordination, balance, and control of edges and turns. And if you don't have a strong edge, like even on a waltz jump, if you have a weak outside edge, how are you going to have a big waltz jump if you can barely skate a forward outside edge?
Exactly.
It's like people doing it's like a backspin. If a skater can't even do a forward inside 3 turn, how are they going to do a backspin? So people have to work on their basics more at the very beginning in order to teach them. And then if you really want to get like a double axel, you have to be able to deal with lean, control. And if you don't have lean and control on a forward outside edge, you're not going to do a double axel. So if people worked on their skills more, then they would have better elements.
So how would you begin? Like, okay, so we have more lower skaters in Mexico than more advanced, and luckily, in a way that's not so luckily, many of the skaters that are advanced, they tend to go and learn all these things or more things from other coaches outside in the summer, and then they come back to Mexico, and then they get their basics going. But now we're trying to teach basics from the beginning. So how would you tell coaches they should start? Like, what should they look for? Or how would you say like they should begin teaching edges or moves in the field?
Well, I mean, obviously I know that you people in Mexico have adopted the American moves in the field.
Not all of the states have. We have in some states, and it's worked out a little bit better, but not everybody does, and it's not required. And once they get to pre-preliminary and they have to do steps in their program, some of them just like do like an old school steps where they're just like dancing through and then they're done. And sometimes it's just like gliding and then they don't get it called. because, well, you're a technical specialist as well. And they don't know that. So you don't get called if you walk through for like 1/3 of the ice and don't do anything. So.
Well, and the big thing too is like to do a turn, you have to have like, it's, to me, it's the control on the exit of the turn that decides, you know, if your weight is in your skating foot when you finish the 3 turn and you don't put the other foot down, then you can turn it. If you put your foot down right away, obviously, to me, that's not a turn. That's you didn't do it, because you have to master the control in and out of the turn. So when it comes to doing to introduce edges to your skaters, to me, I think first of all you got to get them on a circle, and just like we're talking little kids on a circle that you can't put them on some of the hockey circles, because the little child is only 2 feet tall. And you put them on a hockey circle, you might as well put them on a straight line. You got to put them on smaller circles so that when they finally go on 1 foot, they develop obviously lean. Okay, because you need speed and lean to make an edge. So you've got to get them on forward outside, and then change feet forward inside, and go clockwise and then counterclockwise.
You know, you do something really fun with the younger kids, and I'm seeing you, and you make them chase you, so they get, and you like get away from them, and then try to touch you.
So to me, I play catch the coach, but at the same time, the kids love it. But what I do is I turn one way, so then they have to do a counterclockwise curve, and then I make them do another curve. Then I'll stop and change directions quickly, so all of a sudden they're stopping. But if you try and tell a little child to go fast and lean and curve, and then do a big stop, they look at you like you're crazy. Or I'm not going to do that because I don't want to fall. But when they play catch the coach, they all want to catch the coach. So I teach them all this edging and all about lean and turning. And then, of course, you know, sometimes they end up turning to backwards, or sometimes they're spiraling their arc, and then they end up going in a 2-foot spin. So that's kind of like what it's about, a big circle, and then getting, you know, like water going down the bathtub drain. So to me, you got to make it fun. With little kids, I always say it's the 3 F's of skating. You gotta make it fun, and it has to incorporate fitness, and then it's going to be about teaching fundamentals. So when you do that, you kind of you win them over right away, because they'll say, "Oh, Coach Doug is fun because, you know, we did coach." So then they're able to listen to you more.
And not only that, I found that parents, like at first you came here and you're like, okay, so I'm teaching 4 little kids. And I'm like, and they're like 5 years old. I'm sorry, Doug. And you're like, it's fine. And then the parents, they'll go crazy and they say like, that was the best lesson ever. I'm a little offended. You know, like I try to make it fun too. I'm a little offended, but like the kids are like, I asked one of my students, how did you get to do the spiral with Doug? And she was like, he asked. And I'm like, I always ask. She was like, yeah, but it's Doug. And I'm like, you know, but yeah, well, you're making it fun and the parents are happy.
Well, thank you. Well, I just know that I got to try to motivate the kids. And that's coaches, all of you who are listening, that's your number one thing. You got to motivate your kids. So you can't stand there, lean against the side of the boards with your arms folded in negative body language and start saying, okay, go backwards. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, I still wear my skates. I still chase my kids around the ice. I can't skate as well as I used to, but I know it's important, and especially with little kids. But yeah, it's like, it comes back to, like I say, so you got to motivate them and you got to instill confidence. Because if you motivate them and you give them confidence, like, oh, this is great, you're doing well, then they'll be more willing to try higher risk elements without worrying about getting injured.
Okay.
So to me, instill confidence, and you got to make it fun. It doesn't matter if it's a senior lady or your daughter.
Yeah, I know. My little daughter. He skated with my daughter, and everybody started asking, "Oh, her grandfather is skated with her." I'm like, "No, I wish." It's awesome. Everybody loved the picture. I'll post it online so people get to see the picture of you and my daughter. It's awesome.
So that's my whole thing. Like, you guys, you got to motivate your kids, and you got to instill confidence. If you keep bringing them down, they're never gonna literally get up to jump, but they won't even like Like you gotta make them. You gotta instill that they're gonna land it, even if sometimes you think they have not any chance. You got to give them hope. You've got to give them hope.
So all right. So we talked about lean, right? So how do you get them on an edge, or like to create, like to actually? What I would usually do is like play another game, and then I would tell them, okay, try to get from blue line to blue line on one push because I need them to actually push. But how do you like make?
Well, the other thing that I do is, and I think you'd remember too, I'm a big marker kind of guy. So yes. The children learn visually. So I will draw like half circles on a hockey line or any line, just so that they're going on 2 feet, and eventually they pick it up. Pick put either outside foot up or the inside foot up, so they understand what they're trying to do. Because if you start saying a little kid doesn't really think of half a circle or half an apple. Like, you know what? Then they can't picture that on the ice, and you get them confused. So you have to draw everything, and I draw everything from how they start with their feet, with the oversized drawings of your feet, right to arrows for direction. Yeah. And then you kind of I go from the edges, then I make up a little obstacle course where they actually have to turn, and then they glide, and then they have to spin, and then it's like they got to jump over the crocodiles or whatever, and then they do a jump. But you make an obstacle course, so again, it's fun. And as soon as they see the obstacle course, it's like they're not crying anymore. They don't want to go to mommy. They want to do the obstacle course. And then, you give them at the end, if they do a good job, give them a star and put a star on the ice. And the kids thrive on that because, again, you're giving them a reward. And I think that it doesn't matter what level you are, whether it's like you get your name on the wall for landing your first axle, or whether you get a star on the ice for making it around the circuit. I think it's really important to reward success. Yeah, there's not enough. If people were rewarded more, you get more out of them. You just have to make them feel good, and they'll try harder. If that's one message I can tell you guys with your skaters, you've got to make them feel good. You've got to give them hope. You've got to reward them for any kind of success. So to me, I called it an excellent award. So as soon as you you did your axle, you got your name on the wall at the rink. A piece of paper up on the wall that said congratulations. And then I called it jump-tastic board. So as soon as you got a double jump and it was clean, and it was like you and another coach would verify it, or the child did it in a competition and brought back the sheet that said they got it clean, you get your name on the wall for all the double jumps. To me, celebrate more success. So get a jump-tastic board. I don't know what that would be in Spanish, but we take fantastic and call it jump-tastic in English. And it's big because kids really want to get their name on the wall.
They want to be known.
Yeah. And then it's like when they go to competitions again, whatever they did, you have the piece of paper and it's got Susie, Susie Q, and she came third, and then she came at the Merida Open, and just again, they want to see it makes them feel good. So reward success, you guys. Reward success.
True. So let's keep moving a little bit. I mean, you're giving us great pointers on what we can do about starting edges. And let's move a little bit more. What?
And draw stuff. So when you get more advanced too, it's like draw a 3-turn. So they know what a 3-turn looks like. And then it's really like the number 3. Because to me, I had so many kids go, oh, that's what a 3-turn is. It really is a number 3 on the ice. I'm like, oh my God. So ever since that child told me that, when I was a young coach, I drew 3s on the ice. And I drew all the turns so that they'd see what they look like. Because they don't know. And then you demonstrate, but you have to draw the turn on the ice. Whether it's a rocker counter, loop, draw the turns on the ice. And then of course, to do turns, a turn, like everything in skating, is all about forces and leans. So to do a turn, you have to have a wind up and a release. It doesn't matter if you're winding up for your double sow cow or you're winding up to turn a 3, you wind up and then you release. So you wind your shoulders up against your hips and then you let it unravel just like a dishcloth. Like I wind it up and then shoulders.
Yeah.
When I release, my hips snap and catch up.
Oh no, listen.
Pardon me?
So it's also like sometimes we use, and I almost lost you for a second there. But it's like when we talk about like having what's it called? Elastic, and you pull it and then you let go. So it helps you with that like pull, and then it's like letting go.
That's kind of elongating, that's it. But to me, it would be like an elastic that you twist.
Okay.
If you twisted the elastic around something, it's winding it up, and then when you let the elastic go, it unravels.
Okay.
So for me, though, I always say, like, for a jump, every jump, it's like a slingshot. You have to pull for every jump. Your right arm goes back. Doesn't matter if it's axle, double sow, double toe, double loop, double flip, double lutz, or triple, whatever. Sow, toe, loop, flip, lutz. Your arm is back, so it pulls back like a slingshot, and then it releases. Because, like, Christy Crawl and I say, it's like your arm is your rotator creator. So it's all this, it's not this arm, it's this arm that comes in that makes you rotate. Because when I rotate, I'm going to turn into my left arm, okay? True. But if I don't bring my right arm in, I'm not going to turn. There, I'm just like, it's going to stay behind me. But if I'm here, and you could try it at the rink tomorrow. Oh no, I guess you can't.
We don't have rinks yet.
But if you do, like, you're standing here and you're going to do like even a 2-foot spin, and you pull your arms to the right side of your body, you'll turn because your arms are coming in. Your moment of inertia gets smaller, whatever. But if you brought your arm all the way over here, you would rotate more because it's a longer path. And it's going to make your right side, you need to get your shoulders to turn. So the more you can turn your shoulders, it'll initiate more rotation. So your right arm, if you jump like left to right, is so important because that's how you get rotation.
And this is related to all turns, because you have to hold after the turn and you have to be able to maintain that flow. And it helps you stay on
to control the turn, just like you have to control the landing. So you've got rotation in your body, and you have to what we call is check. And that's to slow down. That's to slow down or to try to stop. You can't stop all the rotation, but you can slow it down by reversing your shoulders against your hips the opposite way.
Yep. So controlling the rotation, it would be.
Yeah, but everything again comes back to, like, as I said, it's a wind up and a release. So every turn winds up, and then there is a release, and then for rockers, say, like, where you wind up and then you have to reverse and you have to twist the other way on the exit to control the exit, because some turns, especially turns like rockers and counters that go from one circle to a new circle, obviously they're harder to control. So you have to have a stronger check. Okay. But for 3 turns, obviously that's easier than brackets, Loop is a turn. So you have to wind up a loop and then you let it unravel, And so that's basically all the turns.
Yeah. And how would you say that, knowing what you were saying about checking and pressure and like all the forces, power, quickness?
Well, like for turns to any turn that you're going to go from forward to backwards. So you're gliding in forward, you want to come out backwards. When you glide into a turn, you're gliding from the middle to the back of the blade, and then you rock forward at the top of the turn, and then you stay on the trailing part of the blade coming out. And what I always say to kids is, it's like if you have, it's like this is the water, this is a speedboat. A speedboat goes across the water, it's only the back end is in. So when you're gliding forward, you're gliding on the back of your blade, and then you rock up to the front to turn, and then you got to stay on the trailing part of the blade because, again, that's the speedboat coming out. So I don't know if that makes sense to people, but you got to, so on a back turn, obviously you're gliding on the front of your blade, and you press to the heel for all back turns. All back turns rock to the heel. All forward turns rock to the ball. And lots of people don't know that.
I know.
But that's very simple.
Yeah.
All forward turns rock to the ball to turn, so that you lift your heel up so you have less blade on the ice to facilitate that pivoting action. Okay?
I was teaching brackets today on a spinner, and I was telling them, of course, we can't really do them, but try to think you're in a right forward inside edge, and then try to rock. And like if you're imagine you're going forward, so you're focusing on the front of your foot, it's gonna get outside of the circle. And if we're going back, now you're gonna focus on the heel. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you're going backward. And I explained it, and I mean, I'm talking to kids, so they don't,
Right.
get it so well, but coaches should know this. So good you said it. So I mean, we can talk a little bit more about specifics in edges, or would you like to say how they relate to the components on a program?
Well, to me that's
More complicated.
no, it's not really more. To me, it's so obvious. Like you have to be like, in order to get high component marks, you have to be able to use your knees. You have to be, first of all, you have to have speed.
Yeah.
When you walk into a rink and you're looking at a skating session, doesn't matter if it's just a regular session or it's the World Championships, your eye goes to the fastest skater on the ice. Immediately you go, who's that? Or whatever. But your eye goes to the fastest skater. So obviously speed is rewarded to me the most, but you have to have speed by being able, like there's Patrick Chan's speed, where it looks like, where does he get that speed? He's got that flow. It's like he pushes and it goes like he flies across the ice. The same as Jason Brown. He's probably the best skater in the world, because his skating skills, as you know, he can come second in the short program last year at Worlds, only with the triple and a triple axel, because he's the best skater. So you look at his skating skills, his knees, his ability to turn, his ability to move, his ability to use his body to express the music, to stay in time with the music. But you've got to make like edge turn sessions if you can in your club, and get a group of kids together, because a group of kids doing skills together is good, because they all want to be better than the other. As much as they're all friends, they want to be better.
And you raise the level.
Pardon me?
You raise the level of
right, yeah, because everybody's competitive. So, but you got to give them an exercise that will, incorporate the fun, the fitness, and the fundamentals. So it has to be obviously you have to use music, and you have to use different types of music if you want to have different like the skaters to be able to express different music for their program. And it's really important when you do an edge turn session to use lots of variety of music, so that 1 minute they're skating to a march, the next minute they're trying to do long stretched out pointed toe exercises to like a waltz. But then you've also got to get whatever hip hop music they're doing, because they want to that you have to introduce all types of music to them. And so then you got to have the exercises to go with them. So the coaches have to be a little more creative, and you got to be more prepared for your class. But you guys can all go online and see a lot nowadays. A lot of edge turn classes, and but it's really important because it gets the kids all together. Because skating is an individual sport, single skating. So you got to make them still feel part of a team. So when they do group work, it really makes them feel part of a team and feel not so lonely out there, and you have a lot of success. Like, to me, you have to balance out group lessons and private lessons with your kids. I don't think that they should all have one or the other, but I definitely think you need to have both.
I agree. All right. So then I think most people, what they don't know is like one of the things that are looked at when getting their test for moves in the field usually include that extension, because of the artistry and what was the other thing? And like style. And how would you say that relates to moves in the field?
Well, again, it's like you can do a move, like lots of people can do an outside edge. But then there's people that can do an outside edge like Carolina Costner, you know, where her free leg is completely stretched, turned out, and her back is arched, her head is up, she's looking to the heavens. I mean, and it just, you just know it's a beautiful thing. So to me, but you've got to teach that, and you've got to do that every day, and it has to be practiced and it has to be rehearsed. Okay. So to me, again, I can't emphasize enough, you just can't get on a session and start jumping right away. You can't do that. You have to do, you've got to make a skater, you've got to master turns and edges, because that's the foundation for skating. Simple. So to me, get them going, like get them in, like I say, get them in groups. And it's also, it makes it cheaper for the parents because they get to, you know, group lessons are cheaper. But yet for you as a coach, you get more kids and then you get better results because they'll try harder if they're in a group, especially learning something like, but you can do jumps and spins in group lessons too. I think it's really important. And like even simple lessons like counting the number of rotations in a spin, you know, and you give some reward that day. Somebody gets a free pair of gloves or something like that. But who can hold their camel spin the longest? Like, and just even little simple games like that produce great results. But you need to do a little competition. You know?
Doug, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and we only have 20 minutes left. It flew.
Okay.
The conversation about you have a couple of articles that came out about the fixed method for jumping, and you have 21 pointers, and so many of them do relate to like something as easy as, I wrote it down, like the back straight and bend. Like if you're not on top of your foot,
yeah, if you don't have
it's not going to have the pressure.
Yeah, if you don't have your back straight. And your back straight doesn't mean it has to be vertical, but it's like you have to have your back, like my back is straight now, but I'm leaning forward. Yeah. It can't be bent, but you have to have your back straight on every jump. Yeah. Every jump, and you have to bend your knees on every jump takeoff. It's like I did the article because I called them my jumpisms. So because it all started with, you know, when you take like a rating exam, you have to say to the examiners, there's things that are consistent. Doesn't matter if you're teaching an axle or a triple axle or a single salchow or a quadruple salchow. You have to have teaching concepts and teaching technique that is the same. So that article that I wrote on my 21 jumpisms, that deals with that because it applies to all jumps or all spins. Oh no, that one was only jumps. And then I did the next article I did was all individual technique for each jump. And all you people, you can, like, you have them, right? You have both
I have
of them. I gave you the PDFs of them too, didn't I?
Yes.
Right. So you can give them all those. Anybody that's watching tonight can get them from you, or I will give them too. And so you can give them my email address too. It's just hawskate@gmail.com, HAWSKATE@gmail, and I can send you those articles, or you can, Anna Sessi. And the neat thing for me was I really am glad I did it because people like Christy Kroll, World Olympic coach Tom Zakrajcek, I've already got lots of great feedback from them. So and Christy incorporated some of my jump technique in her presentation at the last PSA virtual summit. So it was great. And I'm really glad I did, because to me, especially in the United States, there's nothing, well, for sure in Mexico, but even in the United States, there's no actual how to do a jump. And so that's why I wrote the articles.
There's one of them, that one point that you say, to change one variable means changing everything. So yeah, I think that applies to everything. Like you can't have going so fast on a rocker and expect to go like and turn like sharp and quick. You would have to wait longer into the axis.
Right. To me, if you change, say this, if you change the speed, then you got to change a little bit the rhythm. When you go faster, the rhythm is slower. So like when you think of like what's the difference between a single, double, triple, quad,
I agree.
To me, the biggest thing is the timing is slower and more deliberate as you go higher. So as much as you're going faster, you have to be more precise at each jump. As you increase the rotation, there's less room for error. So my point is that so you see, like for say a triple toe. So I'm doing the 3 turn, and I would teach 1, 2, 1. Now I turn backwards, 1, and I pick. Right? So I do 1, 2, then turn, 1 count, then I step on the right back outside edge, 1 count, and then I reach to toe in. But when you go to say a triple from a double, then the 1, 2, you have to make sure that you're absolutely 1, 2. Like it's not 1.5; it has to be 1, 2, and you've got to get that consistent rhythm. Like, and then you've got to keep your count, the rhythm the same. You can't go 1, 2, and then 1, 2. Like maybe you're, like you've got to go 1, 2, you got to develop it, and it has to be, and then you have to have the positions related to it. So you change the timing, your positions have to be correct, your lean has to be, like everything has to change, because obviously single, double, triple, quad, your lean changes.
Yeah, a little bit more steep.
Right, and a little, the pressure on the blade is greater as you go higher, because you have to press harder to create that turn, that torque on the takeoff. So when you're doing an axle, you can look at the print on the ice and you can see how the edge, how it glides, and then it gets a little bit of a skid and then hits the toe. Well, you can see for a double that the skid is bigger and it goes into the ice, and the toe goes deeper into the ice. And obviously a triple, it goes more into the ice. So it's like, and you can see, like you can look at like ruts in an ice, from a double sow cow, you can see a rut from a quad sow cow, and it's much deeper because you got to create a stronger torque. So does that help explain?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna send the article, and because I've read it, it's so clear to me. But anyone who wants him to send it to you or me, I wrote direct message me, because you can direct message the club, or you can direct message me on my Instagram and then give me your email, and I will forward it to you, because actually I have it here. This is the first part. It's awesome. It's like amazing. And then I know you can't read it, but at the second part, it's not only that, you get the graphs of whatever he's talking about, and all the turns are explained and all the errors are explained throughout. So he also talks a little bit about where is it? I think it's here, the seat belt position that he was talking about, like don't stop the rotation on your arm and like keep going, and like why that works and why it doesn't work. And I think it's amazing. There was actually another question regarding one of the points that you talked about. So you wrote something, slower, more deliberate, so increased pressure.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Okay, so it said, so how would you work on feeling the pressure? Because you wrote another part that was like crawling before walking. So you have to learn how to press correctly before you can actually take off. Like, how would you work on that pressure?
Well, to me, it's like you got to teach jumps slower before you can add speed. It's like babies crawl before they walk. So to me, you've got to learn to jump slow. So when you learn an axle, you should learn it from a standstill, because you have to learn about pressing your blade and rocking up to the toe and going off your toe. But obviously you need to have, you can do exercises to develop, gliding on the edge and just rocking to the toe without doing a full axle. Like it's like making kids walk on simple exercise, making kids walk on their toes. No one walks on their toes on the ice, but when you do, it makes your ankle so strong. And that's exactly like every jump goes off the toe. So you better make your little kids walk on your toes on the ice to it looks really cute, but at the end of the day, the exercise the exercise is really beneficial. And if you want the little girls to make like the ballerina pose, it's fun for them, and then they'll do it because it's fun. And then the best is to get them even to run on their toes. And now, like, mostly all kids are in helmets, so they're not going to fall and knock their teeth out.
Well, we don't wear helmets.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
It's not like something that it's...
I would if I was you. In Canada, you have to wear a helmet. In the United States, in Canada, they make you wear like a proper hockey helmet. Like, and because to me, I don't want you to, your kids all get their chin broken open or they lose a tooth because they fall forward. So, for me, I think it's so important, it's so safe, and it's a safety issue. And I think I wouldn't, if I was you, I would have my daughter in a helmet without a doubt. I mean, I don't know how I survived because we didn't have them in my day. Nobody wore
Of
on,
course. I mean, she's got the curly hair, so if she falls, there's like cushion, you know, a little bit. Not kidding. The last point that I think really relates to the pressure and like the power, or what was the word that you used? The forces on edges.
Skating is all forces and leans.
Yeah, exactly.
So to do every jump, every spin, you've got lean and you're applying a force into the ice.
Well,
okay, or a force of your arms or joint forces, or like it's all about everything in skating is forces and leans.
Well, the last point that I think really relates to that was the one that you named head up versus head down.
Yeah, like if your head is down, it's like your head is the heaviest part of your body.
Yeah.
Your head goes down, you lose your straight back. So if you don't have your straight back, you're done. Because the only move in skating, there are always exceptions to every rule.
Yeah.
The only time in skating when you don't have when you can have a bent back where it's good is a layback. Okay, but other than that, you have to have your back has to be straight all the time. Okay, yeah. So it's like when you're spinning at the end of the day, you're spinning on a flat. You're like, even though you think you're doing back inside, if you do it fast, you're on a flat, and the smaller the circle, the faster you'll spin.
Yeah.
So if you're on too much of an edge, you won't spin.
Well, when you say flat, it's because both edges are touching, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if you have any more information or any more ideas you would like to talk about. I want to thank you for having this chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's fun. To me, like I say, encourage, don't discourage. And especially nowadays, it's like, nowadays, like I can't use my cell phone because I'm on my cell phone. I think I have one in here. Anyway, pretend this is a cell phone. I always tell the kids, there's no app on here for hard work. There's no app on here for double axle. You have to do it the old-fashioned way. You have to work hard. Like, sorry, you can't push a button because the kids get everything nowadays. It's called in English the immediate gratification era.
Yeah.
So they just push a button. They talk to their friend. They push a button. They can order pizza. They push a button. They're on TikTok dancing. You know what I mean? I say you can't push a button here for a double axle. You have to listen to me and you have to work hard. So it's a little bit difficult for kids because things are all come to them easier nowadays. And the other bad thing is, and I'm going to be honest, for some of you who are parents out there, kids are bubble wrapped too much. Like, to me, I don't let anybody wear a crash pad when they're in a lesson. I don't want them to wear, because to me, I think crash pads are a license to fall.
You mean like the butt pads?
Butt pads, crash pads, butt pads, whatever you want. I think that if a kid wears a crash pad, they won't try so hard because they're protected. If I fell on my elbow, I would start to listen to my coach that I kept falling on my one side. And to me, it's like, as a coach, it's your job to fix it. So if a kid has, obviously somebody's going to have some good, bad, hard falls, like body slams into the ice. That happens. Of course, it's sport. It's any sport is going to happen like that. But I really am against crash pads, butt pads, because I think they promote kids to fall. If the kid has an injury and they're coming back, yes. The other thing that's really bad about crash pads is some of them look like hockey pants. Like, they're so big now. They look, and they're so you're learning. You can't move around the joint, like your legs, your hip flexors. They can't react quickly like they're supposed to. like it's basically an H position on every jump. You can't get your H position because you got too much material at your crotch. You can't get your leg up. So to me, it's debilitating, you know, than promoting the jump. So
And then they're also afraid to compete because they're so used to the butt pads, and now they're like, I need them to compete.
Terrible. So to me, I wouldn't let them wear it all the time. I would only let them wear it for maybe some jumps at the very beginning when they're learning, but then you have to take it off. But I've just become old school because we never had them in our day.
And we're live.
Everybody learned, and I've had boys learn triple axles, no butt pad, you know. And again, if they're falling on the same way, it's the coach's job for them to fix it, and it's also the skater's job for them to listen to their coach. So I'm totally against the butt pads.
Also, I saw a bunch of skaters online, and I just want you guys to know that when you don't think that your coach is right, I assure you, your coach wants to be successful through you as well. Like, they want you to succeed. Like, it doesn't look good if your student is bad. So, like, if we're saying something, we probably mean that we want you to do better, and that's what we mean.
Because I also don't want my skater to fall, because let's face it, all the mothers are watching they're watching all the coaches, and if you have a skater in a lesson that keeps falling all the time, it makes the coach look bad too. Yeah. So then you got to fix it. Yeah. So and coaches, I think nowadays is don't be afraid to ask somebody for another coach to help you. You know, I really believe it takes a team. It's like it takes a village to make a skater. Like when you think of the most successful skaters in the world, they come from a team of coaches. You know, look at Brian and Tracy and their whole gang at the cricket club. They have a team. You know, nowadays everybody has basically a spin coach, a jump coach, a head coach. You know, a choreographer. Like, it's hard to do it all. But you know, when you guys are stuck in your areas, it's good to be able to be a really well-rounded coach, because I always say the coach that can do all of the above makes it really good. But when they get higher up, like maybe novice and up, that's when they have to start bringing in other people, because they get bored listening to the same coach all the time too. They don't, and so when you have a different person teaching different things, it keeps them alert. And I almost think that is more important than what a good coach knows to do it all, because kids need that change. They're changing all the time. You know, at school, they change teachers all the time for each of their subjects. Yeah. Like not one teacher teaches them all. And I think that we need to incorporate that at the rink. That's why I think team coaching works so well, because then they try hard for each coach. If one coach is teaching them for an hour and a half, by the last half hour, they're not even listening to them.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do with this organization, this new club or this new coaches thing, like join forces in the country and make better skaters. That it doesn't matter if it's mine or yours, like let's make skaters for the country, you know?
Right. And for me, where I'm at now, I want to not go to the rink every day. I don't want to teach the same kids anymore. I just want to be a resource coach. So I want to I love it, like when I go work for you and I go other places. And now I'm going to do more in the United States, so that when I go to a place to do a seminar or workshop, it's not like I'm going to go there and try and steal the kids and bring them back.
Yeah.
I just want to go and help people now. So I'm transitioning to be a resource coach, so that I can just, I realize my skill set is in coaches education, and I'm kind of known as a good technician. So whether it's moves in the field or free skating, so I'm just gonna help other coaches and skaters now. I don't need to go to competitions anymore. Yeah. I just really want to share the knowledge that I have, that I'm grateful for, with other coaches and skaters, so that skating in the whole world gets better.
Well, thank you so much for sharing from basic to more advanced ideas. And we have a minute left, so I wanted to thank you again. And this people don't know, like when I met Doug, I kind of ran and I was like, "You're Doug," and he's like, "You're Anna. I know about you." And he's like, "I know about you too." And it's like I don't know, ever since we've been really good friends, and I really love you, and I really want to thank you for helping
Well,
us.
I really like going to Mexico. You guys are all, doesn't matter where I am, everybody's great hosts. And I really find that the skaters, you've got a lot of talented skaters. And I can't wait to go back again. And I will go anywhere. So any of you coaches out there, I'll come and help you and do whatever I can. You can pick my brain. I gave you my email. You can ask me questions. I have a girl that does this, this, and this, and she falls like this. I'll do my best. Send me a video. I'll try to help.
And I'm gonna tell you, parents love it. I don't know, like what he does. He could be standing and just going like that, and then the parents are gonna go crazy. How much they loved his lesson. So anyway, we have like 30 seconds left. I really, really, really thank you for being here.
No, it was great, and I hope I helped some people. And I hope that, like I say, the biggest thing is make it fun, teach fundamentals, and obviously incorporate fitness. You got to keep them moving, keep them going. So at the end of the lesson, they're tired. They're tired from learning, tired from having fun, and they're tired. They're tired because they've worked hard.
Yeah.
You know. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody, and keep in touch. And again, what a great opportunity to meet you all. So, everybody, take care. Be safe. Okay. And when the virus is over, let's do a Mexican hat dance together.
That's awesome. We'll see you later, Doug. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.